Alrighty, King Fight News, back at it, and I mean, this is going to be my take on Dominick Brezeale versus Deontay Wilder. That whole situation that has been building in the background. There is a subplot to the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder negotiations, and that is the strong likelihood that if Dominick Brezeale, who's training right now, who's sort of preparing if he gets called up, will likely fight Deontay Wilder, assuming Eddie Hearn doesn't want to make Joshua fight happen in the near future, right? That is the whole deal right now, because Deontay Wilder has been heavily pushing to find out if Team Joshua really wants to make a fight happen. That's been the focus, moving off of the Ortiz fight. Remember, Luis Ortiz was that big step-up fight for Deontay Wilder. That was the moment for him to show his true colors. He passed that test with flying colors, knocking out Ortiz, showing heart, showing determination, and showing he could come back from getting hurt. And Anthony Joshua, it was similar to Anthony Joshua's performance against Vladimir Klitschko, who was coming off a loss against Tyson Fury. In this case, Luis Ortiz was undefeated, and he could arguably be considered the number 3 or 4 heavyweight in the world, guys. So that's a great win to have, to take Luis Ortiz's undefeated record. And from that point on, Sky Sports was pushing Joshua to fight Wilder. No doubt about it. You saw that reporter who interviewed Joshua was heavily pushing for Joshua to talk about a Wilder fight. Now, in the aftermath of that whole situation, Joshua was talking that smoke, saying, "Hey, I'll knock Wilder's spark out. I'm not gonna spark out. We could do a Wembley." You know, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Joshua said, right? Now, fast forward to present day, he's been offered $50 million by Team Wilder, an astounding offer, an offer that trumps Eddie Hearn's slave deal, which was $12.5 million. So, you know, it's kind of hard to put those two words together, but in actuality, that was a pretty shitty deal that Eddie Hearn was giving to Wilder. And you could say, you know, it is what it is. Eddie Hearn came up with his offer. Deontay Wilder came up with a much better offer. And to this day, Eddie Hearn has not accepted. He knows the money's there, and he knows that it would likely be a fight in the States. So at the end of the day, you know, what was he willing to take to go to the States in the first place? I think that number of $50 million would have been more than what he would have took if you asked him point blank, what would it take for Anthony Joshua to fight in Las Vegas against Deontay Wilder? You know, who knows what number he would have said, right? Those kind of things you don't reveal. But Joshua made the mistake of saying he would take $50 million and make a fight tomorrow. Anyways, I say that to say this. This whole situation with Dominick Brezeale, it's the backup plan, guys. It's an opponent already lined up for Deontay Wilder to face that takes care of the WBC mandatory situation, right? If you really look at what happened when fights fall through, Deontay Wilder just goes to the WBC rankings and picks the next available guy. I mean, let's be honest. If Eddie Hearn, I mean, there's politics in the background. There's reasons why Dillian White is having a hard time with the WBC. There's reasons why. It has something to do with Eddie Hearn. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of it has to do with Eddie Hearn, and he's not really favored among the U.S. promotional boxing scene at all. They don't like Eddie. Point blank. They don't like Eddie Hearn. So, it is what it is at this point. I'll tell you what. This whole situation traces back to the IBF when Dominick Brezeale was lined up to face Kubrat Pulev and he pulled out. It was Dominick Brezeale. Handlers pulled him out of the IBF mandatory because they knew beforehand that it could possibly be a Deontay Wilder showdown. Possibly. So they held him back. As you can see here, Brezeale staying ready for Deontay Wilder. I'm the mandatory. So he knows his own position. Let's see what he has to say. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Here comes trouble. They call him Trouble Brezeale. This is also what he had to say here. Bronze Bomber, let's go already. You know negotiations aren't going well, and you definitely are not fighting AJ next. I mean, I think that was back when he turned down 12.5. I think that's when this was said. So he says, "Quick playing games. Let's get that contract signed. I'm ready. You better be ready, man up." Trouble Brezeale. Well, at least this dude wants to fight. Because I don't know if Eddie Hearn and AJ want to make that fight happen. I really don't know. Dominick Brezeale, I mean, is formidable opposition. He's not a Luis Ortiz. I'm not sure if he's on the level of a Dillian White. The big mistake Eddie Hearn made was 2 years ago. He had an option to make Dillian White face Dominick Brezeale for some kind of eliminator fight. And they didn't want to pay Brezeale. They didn't want to pay him an extra $100K to make a fight happen. So to me, that lies on Eddie Hearn. I mean, Eddie Hearn's been silently screwing his fighters. He screwed Dillian White out of being the number one mandatory. Because if he had the chance to face Dominick Brezeale and beat him, then he would really be next in line for Deontay Wilder. You look at Anthony Joshua. Right now, Eddie Hearn might be on his way to screwing Anthony Joshua out of $50 million. He might be. If and only if Eddie Hearn goes through with a Povetkin fight before a potential Wilder showdown. Because who knows what can happen when you throw in Alexander Povetkin with Anthony Joshua. Do you guys want to see that fight first? You guys let me know. Dominick Brezeale's looking for the Wilder fight. And he's staying ready just in case these negotiations fall through. So, I mean, end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see. But that's the situation as it comes to Dominick Brezeale, Deontay Wilder. Let's check this out. All right, Brezeale. Yeah, Brezeale, he's doing his thing. Not much more you can say. A few years ago, I still work on the fundamentals every day. I'm in the gym. If you aren't learning something new every day you step in the gym, you're wasting your time. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Well, he knows what it is. Dominick Brezeale knows what it is. I mean, I think that's pretty. I think that's a good way to represent yourself as a fighter. And at the end of the day, this fight only happens until this negotiation saga ends between Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. That's when this fight happens. Right? You guys have to understand that there's nothing signed for Dominick Brezeale to be facing Deontay Wilder. The only reason that it's talked about is because Brezeale is high up in the rankings. He's the number 2 guy. and he's already been given that mandatory status by the WBC. So that's just what it is, guys. E-King Fight News. Let me know what you guys think. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.